Well, thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me. And although there are lots of lovely places in Ontario to move to, I, of course, happen to think that Niagara is the best. Um, and why? Well, because I think it's the best of all worlds. A little bit about me. I was born in Scotland. I've had the privilege to live in Canada, the United States, Malaysia, and in Canada, I grew up in Toronto, and I have lived in Ottawa, and of course now in Niagara. I think this is a wonderful region. And the reason is that there are so many different personalities. So the region is made up of 12 different municipalities. And I saw in the chats that somebody had mentioned, they wanted more space or they wanted to live near the water. And those are very, very doable things here. We've got climate differences, we have visual differences. Do you want to live in farmland? Do you want to live in forest? Do you want to live near beaches? We have all sorts of different options here. And each of the regions has its own personality. So we've got both Brock University and Niagara College, which you can take courses at even if you're just interested in something for a hobby. Obviously, we've got lots of wineries, we've got golf courses, we've got urban and rural options. And weather differences, we're about 3 degrees warmer on average than Toronto. Because we've got the escarpment. So when I say we, I live in the north end of St. Catharines. I'm just down by Sunset Beach. I walked there this morning and it's an enormous beach. We've also got the canal. But the escarpment gives us some protection, which is why we have these soft fruits. So we are about 3 degrees warmer. But if you're going further south and you cross Sodom Road going towards Fort Erie, that gets more of the buffalo weather. So we do have climate differences depending on what your preferences are. Now, one thing that tends to be a little bit of a shock for people is that our taxes are a little bit higher than Toronto. And why would that be? Well, for a start, there are far fewer of us. So we still need schools, we still need police and hospitals. So it takes a little bit of a bigger burden for each of us to carry that. Also, there's a smaller industrial base, so we don't have as many businesses to kind of pull that, make up that gap as well. So when you're doing your math and when you're thinking of housing, make sure you know what your tax potentials are. You will get a lesser tax if you're getting an older house versus a newer house, because Ontario has gone to the kind of Ontario-wide, we've gone to the market value assessment for taxes. If you're buying a newer house, that assessment is going to be much closer to the sale price, the market value, because that's what the house costs to build. Whereas with an older house, it takes more time to catch up to the market value. So a couple of things to think about when you're thinking of what type of house. Sometimes a renovated older house can save you a few $1,000s a year versus a new house on your taxes. We've got lots of golf courses. We've got par 3 municipal, we've got a couple of really big ones. So we've got some wineries attached to golf courses. So if golf is a passion, you can definitely take part in that down here. If you like nature, we have all sorts of different conservation areas. There are also provincial parks. We've got the Niagara Gorge. The Bruce Trail runs through this area. So lots of places to go and get lost in nature. And of course, wineries. This is by no stretch a full listing of our local wineries. I can tell you where some of the best ones are. Niagara-on-the-Lake gets a lot of the buzz because of the town, but some of the best wineries are actually up on the bench. And there's some really nice wines down this way. 55 plus communities. So I saw Scott was sharing some pretty impressive homes in 55 plus communities throughout Ontario. We don't have a whole lot of places like that that have clubhouses attached. So we do have some high-end, kind of those semi-assisted living with the apartments. We do have some 55 plus communities, but I think because it is so much easier to get around here, a 10-minute drive is a 10-minute drive. There hasn't been quite the same need for people to cluster the same way. So we do have a few of those types of places with the clubhouses, but you're seeing places like St. David's really appealing to retirees and pre-retirees. And that is not a standard 55 plus community, but they're building a lot of bungalows and a lot of the townhouse bungalows. And that's who they appeal to, so they're kind of purpose built, but they're not specifically 55 plus communities. We've got a lot going on here. So when we don't have COVID, we have the Shaw Festival. We have Port Days in Port Colborne. We have Rib Fest in St. Catharines. There's jazz festivals that a whole bunch of different wineries. There's a Friendship Festival in Fort Erie. We have some pretty spectacular craft shows throughout the year, throughout the region. And of course, we've got cross-border shopping in addition to a great outlet mall, which is on Highway 55, or sorry, the QEW in Niagara on the Lake. So when you get here, I actually moved here because my parents retired in Niagara. And I found that I was visiting them more when they moved to Niagara than when we all lived in Toronto because it's beautiful. There was a ton of different things to do. It was easy to get around, providing you have a car, certainly. And you breathe fresh air. I mean, it really is a lovely place. Oh, and that's it.
All right.